In this session, we're going to discuss creating training for your client. Now, as you notice, we're once again in the employee area, and we've already clicked the existing client, so we're in this client's record. However, only people that can see this is providers and supervisors, or those that's been given the authorization. And down here you will see an area that's listed as provider tasks. And over here, steps 1, 2, and 3 cover creating training. First thing is, whenever you're creating training, is to look up whatever that support goal is requiring of that client. So here, you'll click on the screen, you'll notice it is blank. There's no goals there because there's none been created. So we click add. Once we click the add and edit, you'll see 3, and it comes up in green letting you know that this is our starting point and this is our goal. So we'll create a goal, a simple goal, and this person will say is Steven or whatever his name is, wants to be able once you've typed in what the goal is and you click the save button, it automatically gives it a goal ID. This is all you have to do. Now you'll notice up here you have buttons. These buttons up here are if you want to make a generic goal, something that maybe you realize you're using more than one time. If there's more than one person in your home or area that's wanting to be, able to do more around the house for themselves or whatever, you can plug this in, and I'll show that in a later video. You can close that one, and now we're on to step 2, which is create an objective. Now some people hear objective and don't understand what objective is, but objective is just another word for training. So here we're going to actually create the training title for what this goal covers. So under here, he wants to be able to do more for himself around the house, so we're going to create a goal where Steven is going to learn to vacuum the living room. Okay, so we'll put something like Steven will if I'm spelling that correct, 3, let's say 3 times a week. Now, as you can see, we have an auto out here also letting you know that it's going to give you a number automatically. Now we've gotten to the second step. Once we save it, that second step gives you a plus sign over here. This plus sign is where we add the steps to this training title. So we click here, and now we can add the steps. So step 1 would be, for instance, plug in vacuum and power on. Step 2 could be either sprinkle carpet freshener, which probably would have come before the first one. However, it's just an example. Step 3 would be make sure, or let's go vacuum the entire area. 4 would be turn off vacuum and unplug. And we could make our final step to be put vacuum away. Now, there's two ways you can save this. You can click on each of these squares one by one so that you can validate what you're putting in, or we can come down here to the bottom and click to save. Once we've done that, we have just created the training for this guy. So now all we have to do is go to the third and final step, which is selecting the training and creating training days. So by clicking this button, once again it's blank, and we hit new objective, now we have the client's ID, and all we're waiting on is a date. So we find what date, and it should always start on the first of the month for whatever. We'll click there, and then also look for that one that we've created for him. Okay, we say that we need him to do it 3 times, and over here is asking how many times per week. So the number 3 goes there. Now, as you can see, your goal is also in here. And you'll notice that this Create Steps button won't let you push it. That is because we have not saved the training. Once that training is saved, one thing that you should always do is click this plus sign again to make sure that your steps came over with it. Now, what the system will do once you click this Create Steps button, the system will automatically create these steps 3 times for the entire month of November, 3 times a week. All you need to do is go in there and decide what dates. I will show you that after we click this. You should always hold it for about 2 or 3 seconds and then let go. That way you ensure that it does register everything we need. Now, we'll close that and we're back out to our training. Here is where the provider has to do what they should do from the start. And one or two things you can come through here and do. You come over here and you'll notice now we have a November popping up. Click November, and right below it is the training log. Click the button for the training log, and here we'll see the client's ID. There's a legend letting you know what numbers to put in for it because we want to evaluate the steps. You'll see the month. And also over here you'll see 2 buttons. This is if you have more than one training that you want to do a day. You could just click this to refresh it and find that next training. However, we only have one training in here, and we're going to look that training up. And here it is. Stephen is going to vacuum the living room 3 times a week. Now, when you click this for the first time, you'll notice that now Stephen's vacuuming the room 3 times a week comes up. And that's letting you know that the training does exist. But we're not ready to start using it. The first thing you need to do when you first create this is come over here to New Training, click the new training, and pick those 3 days a week that he's going to train throughout the month of November. So we'll click here and we'll say his training will be Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays of every week. So then we hit the first one and hit Start New Date. That's all you need to do. And go on to the second one. The same thing, Start New Date. So what we're doing is systematically going through here and ensuring that we are verifying the actual training dates that we want. And we can come through here and go right back down, and now we're doing it again. Tuesday, Start New Date. Thursday, Start New Date. And we'll do this all the way through until we complete the month. Now, once we input all these dates, your employee, all they have to do is come in, and when they log in, they're not touching the new training. They're coming in and they're going to be looking for existing training. And we'll demonstrate that here right after the end after I put these last dates in. This may seem tedious, but the greatest thing about this is once this training has been created, only thing you'll ever do from this point on is change the month. You will never ever have to change that training again. Now that we've finished that, we can now close it because that's what you would do as a provider. You set it up for that new employee. So now when the employee comes in and clicks an existing client and comes over here to Joe Stevens, we're going to come back out and now they'll do the same thing pretty much you did. They'll look for November. They'll click on the training log. But this time, instead of them coming here after they click the ID, what they will do, and as you'll see, is you'll see dates already listed. There's two ways you can do this. If they only want to look for a specific date, then they can come over here, click the drop down and just say I want to train for the 1st. Now the only one that will show is the 1st. They click anywhere on this bar and it gives you the steps. Notice that the steps come in ranked at a 0. But now as you're watching Joe go through his daily routine of vacuuming the living room, you click on the pencil, and if Joe needed a lot of help or whatever, plugging in the vacuum, you can look up here at this chart and say, okay, he refuses to perform the skill most of the time, even with reminders. So you can give him a 5 and tell with the comment, took a long time for him to accept doing the chore. And you hit the save. That is now scored and you have a comment. Sprinkling the carpet freshener. We can go and say, okay, look, you only had to do is once you get to this step, he's willing to do it, but maybe, you might want to write in there, sprinkles excessive amounts on the floor. So that way the next person that trains can realize that they need to watch him. Okay, over here, vacuuming in the whole entire area. Maybe you got to continue to prompt him. And so you give it a 3. We'll do entire area with prompts. Once again, you save that step. Now, turning off the vacuum. You can go back once again and we can say, hey, he refuses to turn off the vacuum. Will not turn off the vacuum. And save it. And last but not least, putting the vacuum up. Maybe he doesn't mind putting it up, or maybe once again we come up here, you just have to keep giving him reminders. So you may want to give him a 3. Frequently has to be reminded to put away vacuum. And this right here would complete that training for that person for that day. So here we are on November 1st. We've completed training. And the greatest thing about this is if we go and write a note for November 1st, this training will appear. This concludes this piece.